This episode of Inside the Game is powered by MSI Gaming. The game just got real. Head to our website at insidethegame.ca for all the details. What's up, everybody? We are Inside the Game, your one source for everything cool in video games. We have a jam-packed episode because why? It's the end of the year. This is our final episode of the season, and we have so many reviews that we can't wait to get started. So let's get started with the Inside Scoop. PlayStation gave us the last state of play of the year, 10 games to hold us over and show us what the future holds in the world of PlayStation. Untitled Goose Game kicked things off with House premiering their game coming on the platform for December 17th. We get a close look at the beta for Spellbreak coming to PlayStation 4 on spring 2020. Media Molecule showed us an update of Dreams and what the creators of the community have been working on. Look for that release on February 14th. Superliminal is coming in 2020 for the PlayStation 4 with a mind-bending twist on puzzles. Paper Beast is the latest PSVR title coming in 2020, giving us a sneak peek at Paper Monsters. Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind DLC is coming January 23rd. The team that brought us Friday the 13th is working on Predator Hunting Grounds, a 4 versus 1 set in the world of Predator. Look for that April 24th. Platinum Games is teaming up with Square Enix to bring us Babylon's Fall later this summer. Capcom's leak on Resident Evil 3 is coming April 3rd. Also coming with the game will be Project Resistance, a 4 versus 1 survival game. And then wrapping up State of Play with Sucker Punch's latest title, Ghost of Satsuma. We have very little known about this game. We're going to find out more at the VGAs.
All right, all you Dauntless fans, I know I'm excited. I've been waiting for this one for a while. Dauntless is finally coming to the Nintendo Switch. And it doesn't stop there. We're actually getting full cross-platform and cross-progression with this one. So all your Xbox, all your PlayStation, all your PC buddies, you can jump in, play on any of those consoles with your friends, and also jump in, bring your character from one to the other. And I think that one is really awesome. To celebrate the launch, Phoenix Labs released Storm Chasers, the biggest free content update to date. Storm Chasers includes the challenging new gameplay experience Escalation, a new type of sequential hunt that features dual behemoth encounters in addition to a number of elements of the roguelike genre. Escalation culminates in a showdown against a fearsome threat, the shock-infused behemoth Malkarion. Storm Chasers also heralds the arrival of a new hunt pass, Myth and Legend, which offers Slayers the opportunity to explore the history and heroism of Ramsgate. So I don't know about you guys, I'm super excited about this huge free DLC drop that's coming to this free-to-play game already. So grab your Switch, let's get going, let's hunt some behemoths.
For fans of MLB The Show, and Sony fans in general, this is a bit of a mix-up. They've announced that MLB, starting maybe 2021 and into the future, is going to be on multiple consoles. This is a big deal because Sony fanboys are used to owning this one. And if this can happen, is this going to open the floodgates for more cross-platform, weird kind of crossover games? Could be an interesting future.
So the fan-dubbed Streamer Wars, it continues. First, Ninja, Shroud, moved to Mixer. Then we get Courage JD, he's going to YouTube. Well, guess what? Dr. Lupo, Tim the Tatman, they're staying where they are. They're staying with Twitch. Twitch has realized that, well, they've lost some of their bigger names, but what they have is some solid creators still on the roster, and what they have to do is try to keep those guys on the payroll. There hasn't been any numbers discussed, but there has been speculation that both of these deals are multi-million-dollar deals.
It's been very quiet in the world of BioShock, but now, with 2K's announcement, there's finally news on a new BioShock. They're opening a new studio in Quebec, and this one is called Cloud Chamber. Now this studio is tasked specifically with bringing the next BioShock game. This is big news, as we haven't had one since Infinite, and that was quite a few years ago.
Scott, we're jumping through portals and building some bridges. Scott, if the intro didn't give it away, we were talking about Bridge Constructor Portal Edition. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, so I've seen this game kind of come up before,
Yep.
but it came back around, and I think that's because they paired a DLC with it.
Yes.
So now we have this fuller version of Portal to explore, and I should call it Bridge Builder from now on, to not confuse it with the normal Portal, because
Yeah.
other than the Aperture Science, there really isn't a whole lot that relates this Portal game to the other Portal games
No.
other than portals.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
you're just mostly constructing the bridges. It's
Yeah.
mainly just the bridge builder part. And then there's the portal efficiency part where you just add all these portals to it and it gets way more complicated from there.
It does. Some of the puzzles I thought, so when it first starts you into the game, you get the tutorial of Bridge Constructor.
Yep.
So you get part A, and then they introduce portals, part B, then they start meshing the two together, and then that's when the puzzle aspect really kind of steps
Oh,
up the
yeah.
ante.
If you're having a hard time building the bridges in this game, it's
Yep.
kind of the whole point of the game. There is luckily a nice little tutorial kind of book to help you through each action. So beyond the tutorial, there's at least a menu that you can go to, and it'll show you kind of the better ways of building the bridges. It's like an engineer's cheat sheet.
Yeah, it's cool.
I thought that was interesting because it gives you the idea that triangles are strong. It gives you
Yeah.
some real world physics. If you want to have a crane holding something up, you can brace it. There's proper ways to do it, and that's kind of the entirety of the game and what makes you an expert at it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's ways that I wouldn't expect to kind of get around some of these puzzles. If you take a look at that little cheat sheet, it actually helps you really well to get where you have to go from point A to point B, because sometimes you have to get your vehicles will go over like a jump, but then they'll come back because of the portal. They'll come back over this way, so that you've got to have this gap. And how do you support that? And that kind of gimmick it carries over with that weight of, here's how you should build it properly. And that way, when you do hit the go button, you're not just collapsing your bridge.
Well, and you only have 2 or 3 items to use. So you can use
Yeah.
just a metal bar. That metal bar can become a roadway, or you can use the rope. So you're really limited, and it is all about placement.
It is. Yeah, it absolutely shines. I like how the perspectives change too. When you're in the test build, you kind of get this like grid effect, but when you actually go to perform your actual run, it zooms in and kind of glosses over everything. It's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth.
Getting that voice from the world of Portal, right? That whole
The
side.
Gladys
Oh my
voice
god,
talking to you
it
in
is
every
so
level.
awesome.
Yeah, I was a fan of that.
I love listening to it. It's just a robotic
Welcome to Test Chamber 2.
noise, and if you're not the one playing, it's kind of annoying to listen to, but if you're the one playing and you're invested in it, it's really cool. And of course, they got that witty sense of humor about the
Yeah.
whole thing as well. So
The advice for this test chamber is as follows. Build a stair so that your exit. Very simple.
puzzles are challenging. It is really kind of addictive once you solve that puzzle to see what's next.
And you can solve the puzzle, but you can also do a kind of the rush mode where they send multiple different carts at once. So after you're done sending one cart through, you can stress test your build with many carts. And I thought that was really cool because that kind of makes you go above and beyond, and you have to figure
Yeah.
out kind of what works better than just a simple bridge.
Well, it kind of gives you that lemmings effect, right? That all of a sudden you get 50 lemmings in the way, and you got to get them all across the bridge.
And only one made it? My bridge was that bad?
Sometimes, man, my bridges were collapsing the minute I hit build, and then go from your build into actually your test.
It just
and stuff.
falls apart.
Everything just collapsed. I was like, "Whoa! Apparently, I did not do this right." Back to build
Missed a
mode.
couple elastics on that one.
It was funny, man. I
Yeah.
like this game. I thought it's really cool. All right, Scott, you and I had a great time playing Bridge Constructor Portal. What are you scoring this one?
I had a really good time, and
Yeah.
that addictive kind of drop in, drop out gameplay is what keeps me coming back around to the game. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it for what it is. It's just as detailed as it could possibly get, I think.
Yep.
And the difficulty is there to keep you playing 90 plus levels. So I have to give this one an 8 out of 10. It's a solid game.
It's a great game. There's all kinds of levels. There's an editor in there too with a community that backs everything right there. So once you're done the main game, you can go in and challenge yourself with the community as well. It's really, really cool. I'm there with an 8 as well. Build your bridge, jump through portals. What's not to like? The combination of these two games coming together makes this an addiction for any puzzle game fan. Corey, you look a little weakless. Corey, you and I jumped into what I would classify as an artistic adventure puzzling game.
Yeah, we've had a couple of these lately,
It's
eh?
been a weird week, my friend.
Yes, it has been. So, yeah, weakless.
Yes.
Let's say, honestly, Drew, the first thing I want to say is I am Groot, because that's what these characters remind me of. There are
Absolutely.
these kind of tree-like, vine-like, humanoid characters, I
Yeah,
want to
that's
call
fair.
it. It's very hard to describe exactly what these people are.
So one is like a child or an infant in a sense that, and then they've got this like almost like a ball of pollen over top their head. And
Yes.
so you have this thing you can just, I don't know, pollen shoots out of this.
So a
whatever
lot
it is.
of, it's very botanical, this game. It's all
very.
about the plants, all about the wildlife,
Yes.
everything about the environment in this game.
So you have the little one, and then the older guy or female or whatever it is, either way, is blindfolded. And that's how they experience the entire game. And you're able to traverse back and forth between the two characters, which is really cool. And you can tell, so this is, I think, one of the coolest parts about the game, is the fact that the one that's blindfolded is when you jump into that perspective, the world is black and white.
Yes.
You can see all around the world, including underneath.
Yeah.
Which is, I thought, kind of weird.
Yeah,
Sometimes
the
it's a little
camera angles in
jarring.
this game are a little interesting because you don't realize
Yeah.
how much free range you have with moving the camera around in this game, where it's almost actually a little hindering at points until you start to really learn how to traverse this world.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the other aspect of it is because the person's blindfolded and they can't see, when you hit the staff, you then get this kind of echo ripple effect.
Yeah.
But your senses are heightened versus the other one, because the minute you transfer over to the little one, everything goes real quiet. But then you bounce back to the blindfolded person.
Things are enhanced.
Everything's enhanced. The music's much louder. You can witness the things just differently. And I thought that perspective take between the two characters was really cool. Probably about the coolest part about the game.
Oh yeah, like when I first experienced switching over to the, I'm just gonna say the blind character for
Sure.
this. Yeah, you get that black and white world, and then everything is enhanced. You can hear the footsteps, you can hear the environment around you, and it's cool. It was, that's a small kind of touch that maybe not a lot of people would necessarily think about when you switch to a character like this. All your senses are heightened. Everything else, if you don't have your sense of sight, everything's heightened. And they kind of had this in this game. Then you switch back to the smaller character, you get that kind of lush greenery back, and now you're interacting with the world in a different way. And I did enjoy the ability, especially early on in the game, is you kind of really got the feel for the characters and how their abilities help you through, traverse the world.
Yeah.
And there isn't a ton of things to learn in this. The control set is fairly simple.
Yes.
It's not difficult to get a handle on. But
No,
again, the
not at all.
camera is actually the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, I'm having a tough time. It's very free with that right stick. And that camera can really move all over the place.
It can.
And I just had a tough time kind of centering myself sometimes when I'm trying to, because there's the smaller character has an ability to, like pollinate things, I guess you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you really have to like aim that. And so I had a difficult time sometimes getting it and projecting in the right way. So it was just, for me, there's a lot of things about this game that I was just kind of like, what's going on here? Like, what am I doing?
So, okay, basically the whole premise of the game is that your tree, in a sense, is kind of getting populated with this bad sap. This is kind of what I took away from the game.
Infection, I guess you want to call it.
There's a virus that's in your tree, and you got to go to the heart of the tree and fix the problem. It's basically the whole 3-hour adventure of this game. Because, man, it was, when I got to the ending, and no spoilers, but man, that was a letdown with that ending. I was like, this is it. That's all I got out of this. I was kind of a little anticlimactic to get to that point and go, man, that's all I did. So the puzzles in the game, it's a puzzle game.
Yeah.
Which, for the most part, some were too easy, some were complicated, but not too complicated. And one particular one that I struggled with the most, probably took me a good 15 minutes to get through, was this conveyor setup. And the little one would fall on the conveyor, but then you had to transfer over to the blind one to hit these buttons.
Yeah.
And switch your character around on this conveyor system to get them out. It was cumbersome, and because the way the characters work together.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Oh my goodness! So as you move, the other one always follows with you, right?
Yes.
So as my other character, when I flip back to the young one to see where he is or she is, whatever, it's going across in the conveyors, the other one up top is following all over the place.
It's moved, yes.
But I gotta hit another lever in order to get the other one to move on to a different conveyor. But now I'm out of joint or out of complacency of where I was initially because it's too busy following the little one that's all over the flipping place. And it was just, that puzzle, it particularly drove me insane. The rest of the game I thought was okay, but it's just, honestly, it's not a strong game. The game is weak.
You know what? It is weak. The puzzles, like you said, it's like they were too easy, or it was just maybe a little too obscure to necessarily pick out right away.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to have maybe a little more variety in the puzzles too, because of the way the environment lays out. I actually found it difficult sometimes to exactly figure out what parts of the environment I need to interact with to, move along or advance certain puzzles. Like some of them are very visual and you'll be able to see there's things on the ground. Other ones are a little more, you have to be closer to realize, oh, this is a button prompt that I can hit to interact with this item or do something like that. So I found, because the environment is so detailed actually, is that some of these prompts are just like little white dots on the screen, and I found it that they kind of meshed in because there's a lot of other things on this screen that kind of look the same way. I'm not saying I was totally lost. I'm splitting hairs here.
Sure.
But again, it's just one of those things where I know if I'm jumping into a game, I just want to be able to play it through and kind of understand what I'm doing the entire time. Yeah. I didn't have a feeling like that when I played this game.
So not everybody, I think, is going to enjoy this game. To be honest, it's an interesting game. There is no dialogue in the game whatsoever. It is done with pictures and you just experiencing the outtake of the world. The music is actually not bad. I didn't mind it. You said it got repetitive. I get that.
At points, yeah.
It can be repetitive, sure, but honestly, it's not a $60 game.
No.
So it's you kind of know what you're getting there, in that sense. And I feel bad kind of saying that, but at the same time, this is what you get. The game isn't the greatest game. I wouldn't even recommend this game. This game obviously came up a little weak for both of us. What are you scoring this one?
You know what? I can't give it a high score out of the fact that I don't think if somebody else jumped into this, they'd enjoy it any more than I did.
Yeah.
You know what, Drew? I gotta give this one a 4.
You know what? I'm right there with you. 4 as well.
Weekless is an artistic puzzle experience. With a playtime right around 3 hours, you'll find yourself cruising through the simplistic puzzles rather quickly, but the odd character type and lack of direction will have you scratching your head at times with this one.
We received our Founders Packs, and me and Drew are taking a look at Google Stadia to tell you what we think.
Scott, you and I jumped into Google's latest, greatest piece of technology that they're trying to come in here with games.
Need to reload.
That's kind of my overall impression. Unfortunately, Scott, Stadia isn't really working for me. How do you think? You and I both jumped into this. How's it going?
Well, I had a rocky start getting my setup and my Chromecast synchronized to my controller was kind of a big deal. I walked myself through the steps, but I was having some weird issues that were not easily resolvable. So by the end of it, I finally got it connected, and I jumped in, and I kind of had a mixed experience.
Yeah.
It's
supposed to be the future of gaming, right? This is where man, the minute Google came out and they said, this is Stadia, I was sold.
Yeah.
I thought, this is fantastic. I'll be able to take the games on the go. Because normally what do? Pack up my Xbox, pack up my PlayStation, and slug it with me.
takes a big chunk of space. And
Exactly.
yeah.
So now if I can just keep my laptop with me, the controller, apparently you have to plug that in because right now the wireless service for that system isn't working.
Yeah, just like a lot of other things to do with this
and
Stadia.
This is the biggest problem. When you launch a brand new piece of tech, especially something like Stadia where they're coming into a market that's already as big as it is, the video game industry is massive.
Giant.
But you got big players already with Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Your top three are already there, and you're trying to take a piece of that pie.
And
you better have something good to come to the table with, and unfortunately, everything they came with
not quite
is
there.
already on my Xbox, my Switch, or my PlayStation. Like, that's the problem.
And XPlay is kind of around the corner. We know they're focusing on that, and they're going to pump that into a big service. So
yeah, Project xCloud.
how is this going to compete against that? It's not looking so good at the moment.
No, honestly, the lineup of games they have are great games. I'll give them that. They've got great games on there.
Yeah.
But who doesn't already have the games? That's the problem. You're giving me 22 games that I've already got on my system.
Well, and what comes with the Pro? So we get Samurai Showdown, we get Tomb Raider, we get a few others. We get Destiny. That's a big one.
Yeah. Farming Simulator.
Farming
19.
Simulator. Oh, that's the one I couldn't remember. That's right. Farming Simulator. So
the only exclusive on the system at all was Guilt, and to be honest,
you have to buy that one as well.
You need to come out swinging. And if Google knows that they're making this product, so why not get developers already on, build your team, and get a game going for that?
Yeah.
You need to have exclusives. For right now, honestly, there is no reason anybody needs to pick this thing up. Nobody needs this thing right now.
It's a hard sell.
Absolutely, it's an awful
I
sell.
want to recommend it because it's kind of this new technology that we're seeing, and somebody else has entered the combat, and I like that. It's good to mix up the industry and keep everybody guessing, but it's just not delivering on some of the things that they specifically mentioned.
No.
At least not yet. I can't connect to my phone. I can't play mobile yet.
No.
The controller is very limited. The Google Chromecast, I have to have the Ultra. I can't use just any Chromecast, not at the moment at least.
Sure.
And the 4K is not coming in at 4K. We already know that's an issue. So
yes.
What do they have here that's really holding them? They have Destiny for free.
I've already got, I don't know
it.
how many hours into Destiny 2. I don't need to
No.
carry. So, okay, they give you, they promote Destiny 2 right from the get-go. We're bringing Destiny. You can bring your save file with you. That's cool. But there's you and me on there. Then everybody else is still on my Xbox. So why am I going to transfer my save file and leave all of our friends?
Just to be alone with me in the universe. It doesn't really lend itself.
Makes no sense whatsoever to do that. So I'm not going to do that. Now, here's my setup experience, okay? I have a nice TV at home. I have a 1 gig download service.
Sounds pretty good.
I shouldn't have an issue whatsoever.
No.
You would think. So I'm playing the other night. I'm checking out Tomb Raider. And then from there, I bounced in. I even find the menu a little clunky.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just like, man, I hit my home button on Xbox, boom, I'm out in PlayStation, same deal. Here, I gotta hold it down, and I'm like trying to figure out where. I don't know if it's just kind of because I'm not quite used to the setup yet, but it still seems a little weird. But I'm into Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And the game honestly looks better on my Xbox. But as I'm playing with my 1 gig download, I freeze.
Oh.
And then, so as the lag begins and comes back, I am now, okay, let's break this down. On an Xbox, when you lag out, everything pauses. And then when you come back, you continue from that spot.
Yeah, it kind of just pauses for a millisecond.
Stadia is not built this way. Stadia is built with their mainframe down at Google headquarters. So when the game freezes on my side, it freezes on the screen. But over in Stadia world,
it's still
moving. So when I came back into Odyssey, after being frozen, I was 3, 5, maybe 5 feet the other way.
That's a little weird.
So how am I going to play Mortal Kombat 11 in that. The guy, whoever I fight against, is just going to smoke me. So
Now, I played Samurai Showdown. That's
And?
the fighting game that they offer for free
Yep.
with the Pro Stadia subscription.
Sure.
And it had a little bit of input lag. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to try this out. We'll see how this
Yeah.
works. I get into a fight, and it seriously started frame locking. Like, the lags were catching up to me, and by the time I would come back, everything was happened already. I had taken damage, I lost my combo, basically the round was over. You
Yeah.
cannot have that in a fighting game at all.
No.
And that is a big deal. And that's going to be a big deal in shooters. It's going to be a big deal in no matter what game you play.
Can
but
you imagine
especially
playing
a
Call of
fighter.
Duty like this? You
Oh,
couldn't
there's
play
no
COD.
way.
Not a chance. You would be
No.
dead instantly. I'd die enough on my own without lag. You introduce this, I wouldn't even know where I am because when I come back, I'm 10 feet over there or 10 feet that way, and I'm already dead.
And if it's not hitting you with that, it's hitting you with just a half a millisecond of input lag. And that's enough to notice, and if you notice it, it's already a problem.
Yeah, so their ideal situation is for 35 megs, you get 4K. Cool. If you have 25 megs, you get 1080, I believe is what it is. And then if you get 10 meg down, you have 720 at 60 frames per second. So I go, okay, here's my whole purpose of buying Stadia so that I can take it on the go. I come over to my parents' place. They have a 25 meg download, okay? I shouldn't have
Should
any
check
problem. So I check their internet speed. It's sitting around 13, 14 megs. Okay, so I technically, by Google standards, at 10 megabytes, I should have 720 at 60 frames. It wouldn't even let me connect to play the game.
Not even to get into the Stadia.
Couldn't even get into Stadia games to play anything I brought with me when I came over.
That's a problem. That's the
That's
main utility.
That's the whole purpose of having Stadia, is to be able to take it on the go. You want to be able to connect to your phone? No. You can connect to certain phones, Pixel phones only as of right now. So when they came up to launch, it was cut this feature, cut that feature, cut this feature, and they just cut a bunch of features off of Stadia as a whole,
But that was what we looked at months ago when we pre-ordered and got this founder pack. Those are the
Yes.
kind of things that sold us on the actual
man.
hardware itself. That's the reason we got the pack to begin with. And they're just under-delivering.
They're under-delivering, unfortunately, on all fronts. Do you remember the Ouya Android game system? Honestly, if Google's not careful, that's what this is going to be.
It could be. But what maybe would we like to see to kind of fix that? What if they came out with a kind of a Game Pass scenario for that, for the Stadia? Then maybe my monthly costs make sense, and
Sure,
maybe there's something
absolutely.
for it there, but they're going to have to compromise on some level to kind of bring back the consumer base.
They need something. Honestly, I thought when they announced Google Stadia, I understood it to be more of a Netflix experience. So I was buying the controller, and then my service, my monthly pro status, would it allow me then to go on and pick any game I want and play it, and away I go and continue on, and I can then go from this platform to that platform to this device to that device, and away we go.
Yeah, that's
That
what it looked like.
apparently got just maybe a little convoluted, and
Yeah.
didn't turn out whatsoever. They want you to pay full pot for a game.
On top of your monthly fee, that's hard to swallow, especially when the exclusive is already at $40 guilt,
Yes.
and it's hard to justify that on top of a monthly. I want to get into it and experience it because that's the only way you can, but
Sure.
I have to jump through the Google hoops, and I feel like that's a bad trend.
Unfortunately, it is. Let's talk about the controller. How's the controller feel? How do you think?
Well, it's pretty solid in the hand, but I'm not a fan of the PlayStation setup. And this PlayStation setup has these paddle triggers that just don't really feel right to me.
No.
And that's got to be my biggest criticism, is the triggers. I'm a shooter guy, jumping into the Tomb Raider. I'm also world leader in the Tomb Raider right now. I'm going to try and hold that title. But the multiplayer shooters, the twin sticks being together really, really messes with me.
You're more of that Xbox guy. So for me, I came from that PlayStation family, so it fit right in. It is the triggers. They feel conformed to your grip, your hand, which is nice, but they don't feel as responsive as we're used to via the Xbox or the PlayStation.
Something about the
controllers.
trigger arc, the way it turns, or it just doesn't
feels like it
feel
almost
the
comes
same.
down on an angle instead of like straight back. So it comes in sideways in a sense. So it is a little something to get used to. I'm not a big fan of the D-pad.
Yeah, it's a little gummy. It's a little small,
Yeah.
low profile. There's an extra button, the search button, I assume. There's something there that we're not really...
So Google has an assist program that was supposed to come on launch, didn't come on launch. So really, we only have the start or select button right now, in a sense, and you can capture a picture. So there's just been so many setbacks from Google that it's just kind
there
of
may even be clips. I think you can clip, you might be able to screenshot for sure, but it all goes to your mobile. And then from there, you can't share it. You can't save it. You can't do anything like that. And that's a big deal for us because we want to be able to show off these clips.
Some of these clips are really cool, and you can get these shots, and people will take hours doing that photo mode, right? So when you do that and have the ability that's there, it's just honestly everything about the Stadia right now has just come up empty for me. Overall, Scott, Stadia with the tech idea behind what Google's bringing to the table, I think is fantastic. I think it's really fascinating in the possibilities, but my overall experience is not very good, to the point where I don't recommend this $200 piece of hardware to anybody right now.
No, it is hard to recommend that, and not even just the hardware, but if we do get the controller support that we're supposed to get, and if we do get all these other things, can you even justify the monthly cost?
No.
That's a hard one.
That's not hard. No. That's it. That's that simple. I'm not going to pay for Pro for games I already have on every other system. And that was the biggest thing. When you come out with a new piece of hardware, give me a reason to jump into that ecosystem. Xbox has Gears, they have Forza. Sony has Spider-Man, they have God of War, they have the Uncharted. So each of these systems have a reason for you to go there. But if we're only coming over for guilt from Tequila Works, unfortunately that's not enough to pull people in.
No.
To say, hey, this is the only place you can play this. Overall, Scott, our experience with the Stadia at launch is?
Disappointing.
Unfortunately, so I personally cannot recommend this, and I am in there with a 3.5.
Yeah, I cannot recommend as well. I have to give this one a 4. I see a little bit of potential, but it's hurt.
Google Stadia has launched, but this is not the launch we were hoping for. Missing features and promised connections that still won't let us connect to Stadia on the go only leaves us disappointed with the hopes of what could be.
All right, Scott, we're jumping into the new MMO on the block.
Small lights of resistance come together to finally create the stars that fill the sky.
Stadia. That is the MMO we checked out this time. Now, I'm not super familiar with MMOs.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I've played RuneScape back in the day.
Okay.
Maple Story,
Yeah.
if anybody remembers that one. I have not played in a long time. I missed the World of Warcraft boat.
Oh, see, I was a WoW guy, yeah.
I feel like I have somewhat of a unique perspective on this game.
Yeah.
Now, what was you played World of Warcraft? What are the kind of familiar things jumping into this game?
So I got excited, right? I hear MMO. I was so into World of Warcraft in college. I mean, I had a lot more time back then too, and these games require a huge time sink. I mean, this game essentially is a forever grind. You're always looking to level up get that next piece of equipment, next piece of armor, and just kind of keep advancing through these games. That's what makes these games so much fun, and having the ability to be able to jump in with your friends and also, create guilds and things like that on WoW. It just made it that much more fun to play games like this because you're so heavily involved in them. So when I got into WoW, I really, really enjoyed how kind of immersed I got into that game. So jumping into this, I was excited because this is a brand new MMO out on the market, and a lot of people have been talking about it, wondering, kind of where does it fit, right? Because it's this brand new game that no one's really heard about, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I hopped into Stadia, I picked my character. It has this kind of art style that's very
Japanese.
Yes, it's unique. It's a very anime style art style, and for me, that's not what I'm totally into. But again, I look past the stuff. I do my character creation, which I did like. There wasn't a ton of options, but I was able to make my character unique enough that I was like, all right, let's get going. I picked a rogue style character, which funny enough, you ended up actually picking as well. So it's kind of cool to see how our stories develop differently, even using the same characters, because again, in an MMO, we have so many abilities to use.
Yeah.
There's like ability trees, things like that to grow. And when you get into this game, all I see is empty tiles, right? The UI on the game is, I just see a ton of empty tiles, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this might be a little more involved than I thought.
Yeah, because even by level 20, you're just drowning in skills. There's so many different things to do.
To learn in this game.
And to upgrade each skill, and you can we're both rogues, but you can specify in either attacking a group or attacking a single or adding bleeds and that kind of things, or just straight damage. I went for a lot of bleeds. I went for a lot of single target because I was fighting a lot of these kind of big creatures that lumber around. And, I have some fond moments in that I really enjoyed.
The battling and the attacking in this game is actually a lot of fun. It is unique in its own way. So when I first got into it, again, like I said, I'm always going to compare this one to WoW because it's the one thing
not to.
Exactly, and WoW's so polished. And obviously, there's things wrong with that game too. And I mean, there'll be lots of people out there that'll tell you that. But Blizzard's made a really good game. So people look at a game like WoW and go, okay, how do we make our game like this? And I see a lot of things in Stadia that I do see in a game like World of Warcraft, where the layouts are very similar. But the one thing that Stadia has that WoW really didn't have is Astals, which are like the summonable characters that actually help you in battle.
Yeah, so it's almost like a Pokemon-esque kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're trying to defeat them and collect them all. And then you can use them and summon them in battles, and they really sway the battle. It's more about the Stalias than it is about you. That you're not really even there more than you're just summoning these things when you get enough of them. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Stylistically, this game is miles apart from WoW.
Yes,
I don't know.
Very different.
I've loosely been looking into WoW, and I've seen it being played, and it looks vastly different. This has this anime style. Everything is kind of cutesy, kind of androgynous characters, kind of different clothing and stuff that you would see in kind of a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, definitely.
And I really like that visual aspect. Again, when you're moving around and the camera and everything like that, I don't know how WoW does it. I really have no...
Yeah, very similar. There are a few different things, but again, this is more into like you changing your own settings as you get into the game to kind of tailor how you play.
Yeah.
But again, like the default settings, very similar.
I noticed this one has a lot of different multiple options. If you want to click around to kind of move yourself around, you can do that. If you want to use the WASD, you can do that. You can click and hold both the mouse buttons, and that just kind of auto runs you.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
I really like that, because then you get into a couple hours into this game and you realize you have to cross these vast distances sometimes, or you forgot one little side quest, and
it's the
you
worst.
Don't really want to walk back there, but it's easy to kind of put a spot on the map, a little pin, your guy walks there automatically, and you just kind of check in when you get there. And I thought that was interesting, and I don't know if I'm cheating when I'm doing that on the game because it is an MMO, and I know it's about the grind, but I don't want to play the walking around and then the grind.
And you know what, on that note, in WoW, you get a mount in WoW, but you don't get that till later in the game. Like it's something you grind for, and you have to save a lot of money and buy that.
But
in this game, I was excited to see that you get one almost immediately, like pretty much right at the beginning of the game, and I was like, this is sweet. Because in any MMO, you're traveling a lot. So fast travel points are always really nice, but being able to, do something other than just run with your character, like hop on a mount and move just that much faster, makes your experience a little bit better, a little more streamlined. And again, this game played out a lot like WoW, a lot like any MMO really, where your point and click battles, you're using your abilities, you're growing your characters as you go. And it's just one of those things where, again, you learn how to use these Astals as kind of this new mechanic that we've never really seen or personally used in an MMO or a game really, other than like you said, a Pokemon style game where we have this companion, or what we want to call it.
Yeah, they're all unique.
Exactly, right? So, and they're all unique in their own way, and they all have their own abilities that shift the tides of the battle, and you might send out certain ones depending on what you're fighting. So being able to have that kind of customization just even in the battle aspect of this game, I thought was really unique and a lot of fun.
Offers something a little different. That's cool.
Release the children this instant!
This MMO is massive, and we could probably talk about it for 10 times longer than we already have. But we have to score this one, even on our early takes and the early grind we've had on this. If you've got to score it, what are you going to give it?
Interesting game, not my normal kind of thing. I did kind of have a good time, and I liked the dungeon crawling aspect of it. So I'm going to give this one a 6.5, but it's a positive 6.5. It's not my kind of game.
All right, you know what? I'm just a little bit ahead of you there because I'm not going to say I'm an MMO fan, but I've definitely had some some legs to stand on in this genre because I played WoW for years. But playing this game, it just doesn't translate the same way. I didn't enjoy it as much. The art style necessarily wasn't for me, but the mechanics of the game worked really well, I thought. You know, the movement was good, your abilities were good. I love the addition of the astles. I thought that was a really cool mechanic. And you know what, for me, I gotta give this one a 7.5.
Stadia is an interesting anime take on the MMO genre. Great artistic style and collectible astles are a standout, while generic gameplay and MMO tropes bring the experience down.
Pisces won't hide or run anymore. Release the children this instant.
Scott, you and I are sneaking around in the world of VR.
Find a quiet spot and fix the damage with your repair tool.
Scott, you and I jumped in the world of Oculus. We were testing out Aspire 1 VR Operative.
That's right. Finally, a stealth game on the VR.
This is what we love to do.
Yeah, I was hoping for this this Splinter Cell kind of dark room, kind of sneaking through the office kind of thing.
Scissor kick yourself up.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't it have been?
That would have been oh
Would have
man.
been cool.
There's a lot of things that would have been cool about this game.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there are some drawbacks. But let's set the stage first. It's Aspire 1. You are an operative in a little box, conveniently about the size of your room, hopefully, if you have enough space in your VR setup.
Yep.
And then you take control of, via this box, you take control of robots in the real world, the virtual real world, to do battle and sneak around and download information, all this kind of spy stuff. Yeah, hacking bots and just shooting all the guards in the area if you play like me. So this game is kind of play it your own way, but they kind of suggest stealth. So you go through a lot of different locations, a lot of different areas. You have an objective always. You even have a little device that shows you where the objective is in case you get lost.
Yeah.
But then it's up to you to kind of decide how you really want to run through this game.
So the whole premise of the game is the fact that you are able to go about it how you see fit. You and I are both stealth players. That's how we choose to play this game. It's how I wanted to play this game. To be honest, I played this game for about an hour at the most because I had one issue after another. The biggest issue, honestly, was when you first start the game, you custom fit your belt to your height, so it gets the perspective idea and everything else, okay? Fine, that works okay. But then you get this little zapper and it sticks to your chest, but it's like right here.
Oh, that's strange.
It's like in my face.
Yeah.
So then you're supposed to be able to drop it down, and it's a tool of the trade for what you're doing. And the other part is my gun, my stealth gun, my tranquilizer that's on my hip. I go to pull it out, and I get this far, and it stays, and then it goes, and then just snaps back. Or it snaps to the other side. And I can't get it, I can't hold it, I can't shoot anything, I can't shoot anybody. And the minute I duck down, I feel like my butt is dragging across the ground.
Yeah, so you're definitely not calibrated in the right area. I know
something's not going right for me.
There is a settings menu to kind of calibrate you through that, but there's just other bugs that you're explaining that don't really seem to matter too much to that. There's the grabbing your gun thing was definitely an interesting point for me because I could grab it, but only if I was looking at it. It's almost like it was following my Oculus perspective, so whenever I would look a different way and grab it, it just wasn't where it should be. And then the gun, the main gun, if you pick up a rifle or a shotgun or whatever, it goes on your chest. You just magnetize it there. It was in me, in my chest, way in there. So I had to. That was my only go-to gun. But it was just so not there half the time, and then I was grabbing this one, and it's not there, and I'm like, oh no! And that's when it quickly devolved into just a shoot everyone in the room game, less than a stealth game.
Well, yeah, and that's how this game is not really supposed to be played. You can go and light up everybody in there, but so you're able to sneak around. And I can play the whole game just by creeping around. But again, the minute I duck, as I said, my butt is like on the ground.
Yeah.
I even adjusted my height to be 6'5". I'm 6 foot. 6'0".
Yeah,
that's it. I adjusted it to 6'5", and my butt is still on the ground. I'm like, this isn't working for me.
That's really
I was so mad and disappointed. There's obviously something I am doing wrong. I'm not going to completely blame the game. There are some glitches that I'm experiencing. So for me, I will not score this game. I will come back in the new year with a re-edition of my overall review to see if I've actually, because I'm going to talk to the developers to see if there's something I can do to fix this, because something's, from your perspective to mine, there's something I'm missing.
Yeah.
But to me, you should be able to get in, set it up, and away you go. But even when I'm in the menu and I'm looking for all these settings and stuff, there is nothing for me to really calibrate where I need to fix. So something's off.
Yeah, that is a huge game-breaking issue for you.
It completely broke the game experience for me.
With all these game-breaking issues, it's such a heartbreak because we saw the trailers come out for this game.
Yeah.
We got immediately excited.
Absolutely.
And then once we got our hands on it, we were just so ready to jump in. I think I might have been a little bit too eager to jump in. And
Maybe.
I spent a little bit of too much time in the game, I think, my first sitting. I started getting the VR sickness.
Motion
and I'm not
sickness.
normally affected by that. So that, I believe, is due to a little feature they have in there. And the feature is
Yes.
supposed to protect you against VR sickness. So this is...
It
I'm
was
not sure what's going on
really
here.
weird. So in a lot of games, they teleport you. Mm-hmm. Other games, you can just full on move and they'll zoom in a bit, but they'll black out everything. What happens in Espire 1, as you move, the screen shrinks, but then you get this box-like frame outside of that. And I was just like, so honestly, I thought my game was busted.
Yeah.
So as I'm moving, I'm going, oh my God, is something wrong?
It almost looks like the VR Oculus loading screen or something
Exactly.
like that. It has the grids to it and everything.
Yeah, when you're booting up the game and you're in that hollow space waiting for everything else to load, that's where I thought I was kind of jumping into.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what's going on?
But what it is showing you is the room that your human controller is in, and it's just kind of giving you a little bit of bleed of two worlds, and I think that's what was really messing me up because you don't realize it, but there are four corners to that room. So depending on how you're moving, I think it's kind of giving my brain two different signals. I was not liking that at all. Now, fortunately, you can go in through the settings, and I did this later on through plays. I reduced that power of it, so it gave less of the grid came up and less of a space was narrowed. And I found that helped a lot, so I could play my second and third playthroughs, and everything went out fine from there. So I was so happy that I could experience this game the way I wanted to.
That's cool, because I wish everything I've seen and wanted to play so much, I just couldn't get it. And then, yeah, we'll get in this movement thing and whatever. Other thing that I really kind of did not like is the voice at the beginning that starts this game off. Her voice is like nails down a chalkboard.
Yeah, it was not the Gladys kind of voice that it could have been, maybe.
My goodness, no, I think they completely missed the mark with that voiceover.
Yeah.
Welcome, Aspire Agent.
So I kind of have issues with how the story of this game is told. There's a thing that happens in this game, and it's similar to another game we reviewed, Sirento, and it has this issue where it puts up a roadblock partway through the story.
Yeah, why?
So I played a bunch of this mission, and I thought I was playing the game and I'm into the game already, but it turns out that was just kind of a test tutorial. Aha, joke's on me, the robot's not actually in the mission yet, I'm doing a training scenario. And I thought that was kind of just a storytelling weak point, but then worse than that, it stops you from progressing, and it tells you we need to calibrate your robot or whatever the context was, but you have to go through 6 challenges to get back into the game, the mainline story.
Goodness.
You have to play 6 challenges, and it slowly unlocks them for you. So when you get to that point in there, you could have maybe loaded up earlier and played 2 of the challenges, gotten them out of the way, but you need to hit that point to unlock that level that you're going to play the challenge of.
Wow.
So it's just something, and maybe that's a small point, maybe this isn't a big deal to a lot of people, but it really bothers me because the storyline, and especially in the other game, I'm mentioning it again, Sirento, very strong story, and kind of the VR spots were to get you through to the next chunk of story. This game seems like the opposite. The story is kind of weak. I'm not really interested in these characters.
Yeah, I wasn't getting too much from the story either, to be honest.
I'm kind of just really just wanting to get into the next kind of office scenario.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there isn't too many of those. It becomes, some of these rooms are dark corridors, caves, really dark things, and that bothered my eyes, among other things. It just wasn't the kind of game I wanted to play, and that was kind of advertised.
Well, Scott, we both had a little bit of an interesting take on Espire VR Operative. My score is on hold. What are you scoring the game?
So to put a score on this, I kind of have to go to all these things. I do enjoy this game as a whole.
Yeah.
And even though there is issues with it, like the variance of guns are really low, graphically it's not very strong, audio-wise there's more to be desired, and there are some kind of bugs. But for what the game was supposed to be and what we got, I feel like this is about a 6.5. Aspire 1 VR Operative is a slowed-down VR stealth shooter. Good gunplay is unfortunately balanced by bland locations and a weak storyline.
All right, Corey, we're in search of the lost ember. Corey, you and I jumped into Lost Ember.
Yeah.
This is an emotional roller coaster of a story with a focus on a wolf that kind of allows it to transform into other animals, kind of get around the world and unfold.
Definitely a different style game. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a game, but it was definitely more of an experience for this one, I think, because of the way the story unfolds as you play this game.
I kind of think of it, I look back at one of the classics, Journey, and this is kind of where it falls into that category for me.
Yeah, same
is that
kind of realm.
experience.
For sure, definitely.
It's definitely longer than Journey. Journey's only a 2-hour experience, where this one, I think I wrapped it up in about 5 or 6 hours,
Yeah.
I want to say it was. So somewhere in around there, but it was that kind of emotional impact on me. I know the impact, it didn't exactly click with you.
Yeah, not so much.
But for me personally, that story was one of the best stories I've had the pleasure of playing all year long.
Well, that's good. I mean, when you get a story like the one that does unfold in this game, it is well written, and it's the whole purpose of playing this is to learn what happened to this civilization and who you are and the path you're on in this game.
Yeah.
And then to kind of top it all off, you get this beautiful environment that we get to play in. And for us, obviously, I picked this game because I was like, this game just looks good. I had no idea what it was about. I'm just like, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Let's check it out, because the landscapes of this game are beautiful.
I really enjoyed the art style that they took with this, and the fact that so you play as a wolf, and Kalani is their name, and you get this ember that goes with you, and the two of you work together to kind of carve your path throughout the whole story,
solving
right?
puzzles and things like that.
But the wolf almost looks like a clay sculpture to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool.
It was done really well. Like, the wolf looked so good. Like, the
Yes.
character model itself looked
Yeah.
really, really good.
And then you have the whole world and the environment, and then the one hook is basically you have the ability to transform into other animals to help you traverse through that level to kind of progress through the story.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Some of the animals didn't really click all that well for me.
No.
So early on you get the duck. And
Yeah.
The duck just kind of sucks.
Yeah, like the way it limits its flight, there's a certain path you have to take because of it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of frustrating because it's like, just let me fly over there. Like, I can see where I have to go, but why do I have to go to this platform, this platform, this platform, this platform?
Yeah.
And I'm not doing anything or collecting anything along the way.
Nope.
I just have to go from A to B. So, like, I don't know. It's just those things like that, they bug you, right? I play this game, I'm like, okay, this seems silly to me.
It does. We
Yeah.
were definitely, so Crystal and I played the entire game together, and the minute we got in the duck, we obviously had to go somewhere else that was higher.
Yeah.
And you can't go up with the
No.
duck. I'm like, all birds can fly up. Except for apparently this duck.
No,
But as you
they
progress
cannot.
further along,
Yeah.
you get other birds that will eventually fly higher. And some of the environments when you get into these things are phenomenal to
Yeah.
just kind of coast through. Like, I was a bird and I was done and I knew where I had to go, but I just kept flying and circling.
Well,
and
when
just
you're up that high,
enjoying
especially
the
in this
scenery.
yeah, in this world, it looks so good.
Oh, man.
So you end up spending a little extra time taking kind of in all the hard work that people put in to make this game.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't get invested in the story like you did, and it just didn't hook me right away like it did with you and Crystal, where you guys kind of got hooked, started playing through, and then
Yeah.
kind of kept going. For me, I played about an hour and a half, and I kind of felt like I was getting things accomplished, but I didn't really feel like I knew where I was working towards, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're doing small things and, you know, the story's starting to unfold, but I don't really feel like I'm making a whole ton of progress.
Sure.
So for me, I put it down and it was hard to get back and continue on because I just feel like, oh man, like you want to always progress in a game.
Yep.
And yeah, this game you are moving forward and changing and learning new things as you go, but it's just, I don't know, I felt like I needed a little bit more for me. I need a little more action, man. This one was too slow. This one was a little too slow.
Corey, this game, as much as I love it and adore it, I definitely had some issues, and so did you.
There was a few bugs. There was a few bugs with this one.
That's honestly, this is what hurts the most because for me, that's why I said the story played out so well, but it just didn't have that final bit of polish.
Yeah.
That it actually broke the game at parts because I fell through the world.
Yeah, me too. I was actually trying to traverse something which found out later I wasn't able to. I was trying to jump with the wolf in an area where I guess I couldn't, and I kind of went over what I was trying to jump over, and then it just was like gone through the world. All this stuff was happening. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, there's a few times as well. We did the same thing. We're just trying to move forward, and then we get lost. We went under the water, and we could see like the bottom of the water.
Okay,
And
yeah,
we're looking
yeah.
up going, whoa, this isn't supposed to be like this at all. There's just certain other areas, and camera angles sometimes aren't the
I had
greatest.
a tough time with the camera angle actually a little bit.
Yeah, it is a little tough at times. We had some lag issues as well.
Okay, I was gonna mention it because obviously I'm playing on an original Xbox One. You have an X.
Yeah.
So I always ask you guys if you're experiencing the same things I am when it comes to things like that, where it's chugging a bit or stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that it's not just me that it's happening to.
No, it's not just the original OG Xbox. It is, in fact, the Xbox One X as well. So it's just the polish. Again, it goes back to polish, right? So if they can just kind of fine tune a little bit of these things, obviously it's not going to gravitate for everybody in a game like this, but for me, if they can polish that up, man, this would have been right at the top of my list. But because of these bugs and these falling through the world and stuff, it really just kind of hurts.
Well, it hinders your ability to kind of really enjoy this one.
Yeah, it does.
All right, Drew, you found your way in Lost Ember.
Yeah.
I had a tougher time. If you've got to score this one, what are you going to give it?
All right, I got a feeling this one's going to be a little different for both of us here. Obviously, I loved it. I absolutely adored the story. I thought it was one of the most beautiful stories. I even put it on Twitter that this was one of the most beloved games I've played this year for a story. The environments I thought were cool, but it does have lag. It has some of the creatures that you inhabit, like the goat is one of the worst mechanics in the
not
game.
good.
So some of these things are a little rough around the edges, so I'm there with an 8.
You know what? I'm not as low as you think. I'm probably
there
going to
you
go with
go,
this
eh?
one because you know what? Seeing how much you enjoyed the game, I know
Yeah.
that there's people out there that are really going to love this game. And because it's so heavily based on how you kind of get emotionally attached to the story, I can respect the fact that they worked that hard at this game and this experience to have people actually get this immersed into
Yeah,
it.
it was awesome.
Unfortunately for me, it just didn't hook me.
Sure.
And it felt a little slow. I liked the way the game looked. It was beautiful.
Yep.
But you know, the puzzles and kind of going from animal to animal, it lost its kind of luster for me quickly.
Sure.
So you know what? I got to give this one a 6.5.
Nice. In search of the City of Light with Lost Ember, Corey felt a little left behind, while Drew couldn't wait to find more details in the next story thread. Jumping between animals is fun, but sometimes dropping through the world just takes us out of the experience. All right, Scott, that's another episode in the books, and honestly, it's our last episode of the season. So from everybody at ITG, we wish you a happy and safe holiday, and of course, Merry Christmas. Scott, we end this show off one way and one way only. We feature somebody within the community, but this week, we got you with something. What's going on?
That's right, I break stealth in Aspire 1 VR.
Awesome, let's check it out. Thanks so much for sticking around watching the show. We'll see you in the new year inside the game.
Agent, power cycle these generators, then head back to the mess hall. Should reset that airlock for us.